we look at Ciri's sword from The Witcher.
This is the Kitsune clan, a group of sword enthusiasts who like cosplay, reenactment, and historical martial arts. If you have similar interests, feel welcomed.
So far, we have looked at 3 swords from the Witcher series. Well, to be precise, 3 blade weapons, so 2 swords and 1 messer. And they were all interesting to their own extent. Today, we will look at Ciri's sword, so number 4 from the Witcher series. If we look at what we've seen so far, the 3 swords that we already looked at, we can say the first 2 were interesting in their own aspect, but they were not so normal swords. And number 3, Iris, was a really good messer after removing some parts. The first 2, Aerondight and Eredin's sword, were clearly fantasy-derived weapons, but these derivations added interesting aspects to their use. Ciri's sword already looks different. The entire weapon has a rather elegant feel to it. We can see that the handguard, the crossguard, resembles the crossguard of one of the swords of the main character, but the blade is much more elongate and really slender, and the handle is comparably long and ends in a distinct pommel. It's a ring-type pommel, as we know it, for example, from swords from Ireland. The handle is unfortunately round. That's something we see in a lot of cosplay swords. I will link a video in the description box where we discuss this aspect also for other swords. Otherwise, this handle differs from the handle of the 3 other swords from The Witcher that we looked at so far. The first one, Aerondight, had this very strange pommel that made it interesting to strike in Mordschlag, but was not really allowing a proper normal hold on the handle. The second case, Eredin's sword, had a longer handle that was in fact not bad, but the pommel was tiny and the handle overall was somehow diamond shaped and it had distinct ridges that you would feel. So it was kind of uncomfortable. For Iris, the handle was very well shaped, besides 2 protrusions coming down from the crossguard. After removing these, the handle was very nice. It has an oval cross section and also the end not equipped with a pommel, but that's due to it being a messer, but widening, so also giving some hold. Despite the fact that the handle is now round in Ciri's sword, it's the most comfortable one so far among the swords from The Witcher, and there's no necessity to change something. You can use it like that, it is comfortable, the pommel is really useful, and the length of the handle is also very good. Of course, the handle would be even better if it would be oval in cross section, but that's a minor point. It works pretty well like that as it is. The blade is really nice in this sword. It is long. The weapon overall, as you get it on the market at the moment, is 115 centimeters. This is longer than most cosplay swords. It's the same length as Eredin's sword, but due to the really slender blade, it feels much more balanced. The blade also has a diamond-shaped cross-section. That's something you see not so often in the cosplay swords. They often have a more or less rectangular cross-section with a bit of beveling towards the edges. The diamond-shaped cross-section adds to the stiffness, so there's little wobble, and the taper of the blade makes it light, fast, and well balanced. The crossguard, as pointed out, resembles one of the crossguards of the blades of the main character. That's a bit awkward, this forward bend, but it's okay. It works, it's not too disturbing. It would be nicer to have, for example, the crossguard of Iris. That would make the sword even more effective. But as it is, it works really well. And that's the overall point of it. This is a really good sword for longsword training. If you were searching for a sword that can help you train HEMA or prepare for HEMA or generally understand sword fighting in a European style, this is at the moment the best thing to go for. I have other longswords I really like from the cosplay market, also in the linked video, but this one now tops it off. It's very well balanced, it feels good. If you perform the typical European strikes, for example, the Meisterheuer, the master cuts, they feel so natural with this blade. Of course, it's too light in comparison to a metal sword or to a polypropylene sword, but for a foam sword, this is, I think, as good as it gets at the moment. If there will be an improved version with an oval handle and a straighter type of crossguard, that would top it off, but still at the moment, this is the thing to go for. Of course, it is possible to use this sword in half sword or in Mordschlag, but we don't have any additional protective structures here, as we've seen it with Aerondight or Eredin's sword, that would add up to this type of use. So this is not one of the swords out of Talhofer's dreams, at least when it comes to these aspects. But for the normal use, and that's what most people are interested in, this is a really great tool. You can, of course, always wish for more. For cosplay or reenactment, it would, for example, be nice to have a scabbard that you could put this thing in. Or you could wish that there would be several lengths of this sword available for smaller people, for larger people, for people who would like to emphasize different lengths in training. But as pointed out, at the moment, this is simply the best sword for this type of training. It's simply fun twirling it around. It's also looks good while doing so, and I'm sure I will buy more of these because I also want to use them for training for beginners, for example. This is a good starting weapon where you can really start the exploration of the techniques that are possible with these types of swords. We will continue to further explore The Witcher, because this is now number 4 in the test run, and all of them had some really interesting features. Of course, Aerondight, for example, you could see from the start that this pommel is something special and therefore will be interesting. But Eredin's sword, Iris, and now also Ciri's sword are for me real surprises. You could not expect from seeing them how good they perform, and especially that Ciri's sword would top off everything else so far that we have tested. There is, of course, one thing to be considered in a bit more detail, but in fact this applies to all the Witcher weapons. The weapons from The Witcher look relatively real as a cosplay version, meaning it's not so easy to spot that this is foam and not a real metal weapon. For some events, such weapons can be problematic. It's then easier if you have something in bright pink or strongly colored one. So I can see that Witcher weapons might be banned at some events. That could be one of the arguments why a lot of people love them, because they look much more like normal swords. So not too much I can complain about. Really happy with this sword. I hope this is also something that could be interesting for you. I also hope we could inspire you. See you around next time.